Atesh Dile, and welcome to In Conversation with Tibet TV. This is Sakina Bhatt. Joining me for today, I have with me a project assistant at the World Uyghur Congress, an umbrella organization based in Munich, Germany, that advocates for Uyghur human rights. She is a Uyghur Canadian activist and continually advocates for the respect of human rights for Uyghurs. She is Zumretay Arkin. It's lovely to have you here, Zumretay. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Zumretay, please tell us something about yourself.
Yes, so my name is Zumretay Arkin. I was born in East Turkestan in Urumqi, and I immigrated to Canada at the age of 10 with my family. And since then, I've been living in Canada, and now I'm based in Munich, Germany, working as a project assistant, like you mentioned, at the World Uyghur Congress. So my parents saw that the situation in East Turkestan for the Uyghur people was getting worse by day, so they decided to move to Canada to give us a better future and get away from the political situation. And also, in perspective, maybe advocates in a better position for the rights of Uyghur people.
So you moving from East Turkestan to Canada is because of the repressive policies that is happening in that region?
Yes, as we know, East Turkestan was annexed to China in 1949, and ever since then, I think the policies have been more repressive by the years, so my parents decided that it would be better to go somewhere else and start a new life. So
which year was that?
In 2003.
2003.
Yes.
Okay, so you are very young, we can see that you're just 26. So at this very young age, what made you or what inspired you to champion the cause of Uyghur or Tibet?
Yes, I actually realized that there was an ongoing crisis and a humanitarian crisis and a discrimination against ethnic minorities or in China, and especially the Uyghur people, the Tibetan people. And the first time I realized it was in 2009, because I was back in Urumqi during the Urumqi massacre in July 5th. I was there and I witnessed all of the atrocities that was going on in my country, and that opened up my eyes, and also I felt the direct discrimination against the Uyghur people, and we were being treated as second-class citizens in our own country. And so when I went back to Canada, it really pushed me and motivated me to work towards that goal of fighting for the respect of human rights for Uyghurs, for Tibetans, as the Uyghur people and Tibetan people share the same cause. We are oppressed in the same ways, and so that really motivated me to work towards that goal.
So at a very young age, you actually saw and witnessed the atrocities that was happening there.
Exactly. I only saw it once I was in the country, but I didn't, because when I was living in East Turkestan, I was very young too. I left at the age of 10. I did not realize the political situation, and I was not aware of the Uyghur identity, because as we know, Chinese propaganda works very effectively inside the country, and as you don't even realize your own identity. I didn't know what Uyghur meant. I didn't know we had our own flags. So that I only learned about it when I moved to Canada, as it happens for most of the Uyghurs that immigrates. So once I learned the history, the rich history and culture of the Uyghurs, that I had a really strong attachment to it, and I understood better the Uyghur identity, and also that's when I went back. I experienced the discrimination, and went back. I was motivated to be part of the change.
How was your feeling at that time? Because you were just a child, and it must be a very horrifying incident.
Exactly. I remember we were being interrogated by the officials at the airport. We were the only ones being interrogated, as opposed to the Han Chinese, who were just going on without any problems. And when we arrived in Urumqi, the airport was closed, and we just faced a lot of discriminatory acts, and so that really frustrated me, and there was this sense of incomprehension about the situation, and then during that summer there was a lot of youth Uyghur activists and Uyghur men that were arrested during the summer because of their activism work. So that really opened up my eyes.
So what similarity do you see in the trend of implementing these repressive policies by the Chinese government on the Uyghurs and the Tibetans?
So I think both ethnic groups, we face the same policies, repressive policies. Just if we look at the repressive ways on our freedom of religion, because in Chinese constitution, it is written that we are allowed to freedom of religion and choose and practice our own religion. But as a matter of fact, today we
see that it's not
happening. We don't see that happening in the regions. For Uyghurs, we cannot practice Islam. For Tibetans, they cannot practice Buddhism. So there's the ongoing destruction also of religious institutions like the mosque, the monasteries, and in the Uyghur region, the people have been banned from fasting during the month of Ramadan. So it's just, I think, on the religious ways, we are repressed the same way, but also culturally, the language ban, the Tibetan language has been banned from schools for young children. The Uyghur language has also been banned in schools, and we are forced to learn the Mandarin language. And so I think in these ways we are similarly oppressed.
You must also be aware of this increasing censorship implemented by the Chinese authorities to conceal what is happening in Tibet and what is happening in the Uyghur region, all the repressive policies. So what is being done to eliminate this action?
So I think what's being done is mostly in the diaspora, so both for Uyghur diaspora and Tibetan diaspora. Both groups, we have a lot of organizations abroad, and we fight for, we advocate a lot on behalf of the Uyghur people or Tibetan people, and we advocate inside the international institutions like the UN, the European parliaments, or national governments to raise awareness about the current state of the crisis, and because the censorship is not only affecting within China, it's also affecting people abroad. It connects, because we still have members, family members back in our countries. So I think the censorship is very much, it affects the personal lives and of every Tibetan and Uyghurs. So we are very much, as Uyghur organizations or Tibetan organizations, I think we're working towards the same goal of advocating and raising awareness about the censorship in China.
So this year you have attended the Tibet Support Group conference. So tell us, in what other ways are you associated with the Tibet cause?
So as a member of the World Uyghur Congress, we work a lot with Tibetan groups, NGOs, associations. We have joint campaigns all the time. Recently, we started this campaign on Apple, against Apple, calling on Apple to stop supporting China's crackdown on freedom. We successfully led a campaign against Google this year, which led Google to terminate its project called Dragonfly. We also hold joint demonstrations oftentimes. Just this October 1st, we held a very big protest in Brussels in front of the European Parliament to call out on the Chinese government, to highlight also the 70th year of anniversary of the Chinese people celebrating PRC, but we were calling out on the 70 years of repression in China for ethnic minorities. So we collaborate a lot with Tibetan groups since we share the same cause and interests.
Can you please explain us something about the censorship implemented by the Apple and the Google so that our viewers will get a brief knowledge about it?
So
you can just give an example.
Yes, Google was trying to implement a censorship program which it censors all of the sensitive words labeled by China. So on a search engine, if you would Google Uyghur activist or Tibetan activist or East Turkestan or Tibet or Dalai Lama, they would blacklist these keywords from the engine. So in that way, Google was contributing to China's crackdown on freedom of speech. So a coalition of Tibetan associations, Uyghur associations, we held a campaign together, and Google announced that they terminated the project.
Oh, that's really nice to know. So again, coming back to this Tibet Support Group conference you have attended, so how are you feeling now, and what are your expectations out of this Tibet Support Group conference?
This is my first time in India, and I'm very honored to be here. It was a very good conference. I really met a lot of important people and officials, which the networking event was also very much successful. So I think after this meeting, the goal is to create better cooperation and collaboration in between the different minorities, Tibetans, Uyghurs, Hong Kongese, Taiwanese, Mongolians, just to have a stronger relationship in the future, and also have our voices being heard on a bigger scale.
Okay, thank you so much for your wonderful words, and thank you so much for your support for the Tibet cause.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next episode of In Conversation with Tibet TV.